This is the Porsche Taycan. The first all-electric car from one of the world's most exciting brands. The Taycan then should be good. So, what do we think of the design? I'll be completely honest, when I first saw this car in pictures, I didn't like it, okay? I didn't like it. However, after spending some time with this thing and actually seeing it in person, I was wrong. It's not very often I'll admit that, but I was very wrong with this car. In person, this thing is absolutely stunning. So this is a Mission E tribute car as well, which means that it looks pretty much the same as the Mission E concept. Can you see the similarities? Because I can. You've got the 4 LED lights down here. This little vent here is real, no fake vents on this Porsche. And it serves a purpose. It channels air down the side and over the wheels to create an air curtain. Now follow me around here. Let's have a look at the side. Now check out the really sleek design along the side of the car. It's great, isn't it? Now in pictures you can't quite grasp the proportions, but in person it's great. This car is covered in carbon fibre as well. We've got carbon fibre wing mirrors, side skirts, rear bumper, front bumper, and look at this, look at this. The door handles sit flush with the side of the car until you unlock it. Look at that. Look at that for a mechanism. And then when you lock it, they drop back in. Now the wheels on this car as well have divided opinion. I know quite a few people that really don't like these wheels, but when you see them in person, I think they are great. And where have you seen those before? On the Mission E. That's weird, isn't it? The simplistic design continues around the rear, but I say simplistic. It's simplistic, yet beautiful in my opinion. You've got more carbon fibre down here, which I've already mentioned, and then this beautiful LED light bar that runs the whole way around the back of the car. On the road, it gives it such a big presence. And a little nod to the electric side of this car, behind the Porsche badge is a circuit board. How cool is that? And then check out the boot. I've got the key here, let's open it up. Now with electric cars, there's a big stigma that when you put the batteries in, you lose all of the luggage space, but not so in this. There is loads of room. There's this, the trunk, and then in the front, there's a frunk, which has plenty of room in it. In the back here, we've got the charging cable and these lovely Porsche Taycan luggage. See, there really is enough space in this car for a weekend away with the family. So that's a little bit of the design. But what is this specific car? Well, firstly, it's finished in Carrara white, which I think against those Mission E wheels was great. But most importantly, this is a Turbo S. So this is the current range topping model with, wait for it, 750 horsepower. 750 horsepower and over 1,000 Newton meters of torque. Just, your mind can't even believe the numbers that this thing can produce. But before we go and take it for a drive and experience those numbers, let's take a look at the interior, shall we? So, inside the Taycan, what's it like? Well, it's dominated by these new innovative screens. The bottom one down here controls all your air conditioning and your ventilated seats and your heated seats. And this one up here is your navigation, your media and so on. But something really cool, this one here, passenger screen. Now it's an option, obviously, but this screen pretty much mirrors the one in the centre. So your passenger can go and change your music if they so wish. That won't get annoying at all, will it? And another thing I love about it, it's got haptic feedback. Now if you don't know what that means, it basically means it vibrates as you touch it, so you know you've actually made contact with the button. But my favourite thing is possibly the new 16.8-inch driver display. It's a thing of beauty. It's possibly the clearest thing in general I've ever seen. Not just screen, but thing in general. The graphics on this look like they've been designed for a next generation PlayStation. It's incredible. However, I did find myself in a little bit of a pickle this morning jumping into this car. I own a rather fetching Chili's hot bottle to keep your tea hot. Obviously, we had an early start. And I found myself going over here, trying to find the cup holder. And it's not there. They've relocated to here. And I know it makes more sense to be here because you don't reach as far. However, this is where your drive selector used to be. So that's relocated up here on this actually rather beautiful little selector. And actually, it makes perfect sense for it to be there, and you get used to it incredibly quickly. But anyway, enough of me talking around this gorgeous interior. I think it's probably time now just to drive the thing. So here we are in the driver's seat of the new Taycan Turbo S. And straight away I'm going to say it feels very special to me. And it feels, I'm glad to say, just like a Porsche. Just like any electric car, there is absolutely no drivetrain noise, which you kind of expect because there's no gearbox working, there's no engine noise. It's just really quiet in terms of that. However, you do have the reassuring tyre noise. You've got reassuring wind noise, as you would expect in any car. It feels no different to drive than the Panamera that I've been driving for the last few days. And that's a real compliment, because for a car like this, driving around town with over 750 horsepower, 750 horsepower, just take that figure into your head, it's mind-blowing. And to drive like this around town, it's unbelievably easy. Unbelievably easy. The size of the car is about spot on. It's not too big and it's not too small in my opinion. It's really easy to place going around town. The weight in the steering, Porsche steering is just phenomenal. And there's just the really strange feeling of driving a Porsche with no engine noise at all. It's just, listen, there's nothing. But you do have the electric sports sound, so let's turn that on, shall we, and see what that sounds like. Can you hear that? Sounds kind of like a UFO. It's quite nice actually. I quite like it. I mean, personal preference, but I quite like that. And the view out and the driving position is undoubtedly Porsche. It really is. You sit low down. It feels like a sports car. Even though you've got 4 doors and you've got 4 seats and there's plenty of practicality with it, it feels like a sports car. Let me just tell you about the ride comfort too. It is so comfortable, this thing. It's incredibly comfortable. It's almost like witchcraft how comfortable it is. In the UK, we've got some awful, awful roads and potholes, but the suspension in this car and the way that it handles potholes and undulations is mightily impressive. It is incredible. I've got everything set in soft at the minute because we're just pootling around town. And it is genuinely extremely comfortable, but there's still, it's very hard to put my finger on, but there's still a very involved feeling to it. It feels silky smooth, don't get me wrong, but there's still enough feedback through it, and there's enough feedback through the steering to really feel involved with the driving experience. I'll come back to it. It's undoubtedly Porsche. But anyway, that's enough of just town driving. We've found out what it's like, but let's be honest, what we really need to find out, and what you all want to see, I'm sure, is how this thing drives on a country road. How does 750 horsepower feel? Well, before we go and do that, let's go and top up the battery, shall we? Which you can do either at home with a 7 kilowatt Anderson charger, which fits to your wall and looks really lovely. So let's just unravel this, which will charge your Taycan up to 80% overnight. Just watch this, look at this. How lovely is that? And it's as easy as this, ready? And it's in. Simple as that. Or at a public charging station. Now, charging an electric car is one of the biggest questions we get asked. It's one of the biggest questions that I've ever heard, to be honest. It's one of the biggest anxieties around electric cars, but let me show you how easy this is. Card, charge station, tap, get the charger, This one is a DC rapid charge. And then to open the flap in a Taycan, watch this. That's lovely, isn't it? Then it's as easy as pull this flap down and plug it in. Now, on the DC rapid chargers, you can get from 0% to 80 in around half an hour. So, while your car's charging, just pop and have a brew and read a magazine, really. And it's as easy as that. So, the car is now fully charged. We've got full range. And while I'm on the subject of the range, in the Taycan Turbo S, you're looking at around 250 miles on the WLTP cycle. Well, that's all well and good, but we need to see what 750 horsepower feels like. So let's jump in and go for some decent spirited drives. Oh my word! That is... Okay, so we know that the Taycan is just breathlessly quick. But what about the rest of it? Well, the steering is beautiful. The feel through the steering wheel that you get is just phenomenal. So, we've got, as I've already mentioned, 750 horsepower. We've got an electric motor on each axle, so we've got all-wheel drive, hence the explosive launch. We've got a 2-speed gearbox on the back, actually one of the only electric cars to actually have that on the rear. We've got rear-wheel steer. We've got just a plethora of incredible electronics which add up to make the Taycan experience like nothing I've ever experienced. It's my big question to myself when I picked this car up and was coming to film it today was, can I forgive a Porsche without an engine? Is that kind of like sacrilege? How can you have a Porsche without an engine? But, and this is a massive but, this car is beyond anything I could have ever expected. The ride now, it's unbelievable to think that this is the same car that this morning I was driving around the middle of Chester. Incredibly comfortable. It's genuinely mind-blowing, this thing. And this is possibly the hardest driving piece I've ever done to camera. The hardest driving review I've ever had to do. Because quite simply, this thing is breathtaking. You've got the instant acceleration. When you hit the throttle, it's like nothing. It's actually that aggressive and that fast that it sends your eyes to the back of your head. And I'm sorry if I get ridiculously overexcited here, but this is unlike anything, okay? This is unlike anything. I mean, just watch this. Look. Oh, how on earth can anything be this fast? I genuinely don't know what to say. It's mind-blowing. And honestly, I don't know what to say. But please, if you want any details on this car, contact the guys at Porsche Centre Chester. Drive it, because it'll bend your mind. And that's all I can say. And thank you for watching, and like this video and subscribe and all that stuff, but I'm just, I'm going to take a seat.